111125. My name is Conrad, and I live with bipolar 1 disorder with psychotic features. And I do a daily mood journal here on Touching Tornadoes YouTube channel, um, where I kind of go through my thoughts for the day, my feelings for the day, and kind of check in with myself um, to make sure that I stay on the right track. So today's no different, although every day is. And, you know, yesterday I felt inspired and motivated and seen, maybe. Not maybe. I did feel like that. And it felt good. I was in a better mood. I felt like I was going towards the places that I think that I want to be. And but I'm still coming down from, I'm just not there yet. Not that you got to have bipolar disorder to not be there yet, but that's what we're here to talk about. So, before we get started with the show, or when we get started with the show, we always start with the gratitude check in. Today's gratitude check in, we got to start with what I'm most grateful for is my wife and kids. Um, They are hard workers and good students and love me unconditionally, and I do my best to. That's why I want to do this. I want to be able to show them that even though I have this illness and even though it's gotten the better of me a couple times, I'm going to do whatever I can do to try to keep myself from spiraling up or down. So that's what we got going on today is a little gratitude and love for my wife and kids. And then I'm also grateful for, I think that there's a reason that this time in my life is kind of like the waiting place. It's really, it can be quite depressing. Um, but if I actually just take a moment and take a step back, I think what I kind of need is this transition period in between what was and what is to be. Um, I have a feeling, I mean, I have a motivation and which is good, and I'm grateful for finally being motivated to help people and to use my story and the things that I've been through as a way to share lived experience with bipolar disorder and mania specifically, because I think that I have a perspective that can be helpful. But knowing where to take that and where to put it, and the people that are going to appreciate it or want to employ it, I don't know. Um, I've had a couple interviews, and I think that they've went well. But then if you're like me, you come back and you second guess all of the answers that you gave during the interview, all of the stories that you shared, and then you wonder, well, did I say too much? Did I, and that's how I feel right now. So I'm in this waiting place of stuck in the middle. I feel like I'm stuck in the middle. Um, but we'll get into the mood journal here. The mood, what is my mood? We're going to rate it 1 to 5, or 1 to 10, I mean, and I'm always going for a 5. And today I'm kind of low. I mean, I woke up feeling like, oh, this is going to be great. Well, telling myself this is going to be great. Sometimes you just got to tell yourself that it's going to be a great day. It was supposed to be a beautiful day out weather-wise, and but everything that I kind of planned on doing changed, and um it's when you get thrown off, it's almost like I was getting thrown into a cycle that I don't really want to be in again. For a long time, my job during the winters, snow removal and stuff like that. And so this time of year where I live, you're spending your time working on equipment and getting stuff ready. And it's something that I don't know if it's good for me anymore. Doing snow removal is you're staying up all hours of the night or for 24 hours or 48 hours. And I did that leading up to this year for the past 20 years of my life. And finally, because of my last manic episode, I broke up with my previous company, who just happened to be my dad, too. A family business I had to break up with because the stress of it was just too much. And so I thought, like, well, maybe I'm going to transition from, maybe what I'm supposed to be doing is helping people with my bipolar, helping people with their bipolar by describing my experiences and by walking them through their experiences. And I don't have to do snow removal anymore, and I don't have to spend my days and nights working on that. And I can actually work on something that maybe it'll bring value to somebody's life, and maybe it will um feel more meaningful, like I'm helping people, eh, whereas you're just doing something for money. And I got a phone call this morning from my brother, and he's still in the, outdoor landscaping business as well. And so he was wanting some help, and I went out and met with him, and we looked over some plows that he has and stuff like that. And he's wanting help working on them. And as I left and I talked to my wife, it was like, is this really what I want to be doing? I mean, it feels like you just got out of this life and it was hell to get out. It was, a manic episode is what kicked you out of the life, but maybe there was a reason also. And now to get pulled back into it is kind of, I know it brings my wife a lot of anxiety, and it probably brings me a lot of anxiety as well, because since then I've kind of, that's, I have that feeling, since meeting with them and looking at the stuff and seeing what's going to, uh, what it's going to take to get everything up and going, including my own equipment if I was wanting to do that. And it's like, that's not what I've been preparing for. What I've been preparing for, if life is preparation for, like, every obstacle prepares you for something in the future. You know what I mean? Like, every bad time that we go through prepares you for future, to either avoid those, hopefully, be aware enough of yourself and what you're in to avoid future bad times, and to learn, or just to know that if it happens again, how to get through it easier because you've been through it. But I think that when you're stuck in the middle, when you're in the waiting place, where you don't have, I still have to make money. Like, I still have to make an income. I still have to um, have a job in some capacity to help provide. And it sucks when you kind of know what you want to do and you're pursuing it, but you don't know how to do it. You have the qualifications possibly, but and you're knocking on the doors you think are the right doors, but your old life, everyone knows you as that. Everyone knows you as your old life. And in your new life, you don't want to be, because you saw what happened. In my old life, I had too much stress. I had so much stress, and I had these weird hours. And of course, it pulled on me and didn't help with this disorder. So, after having a mental break and having a psychotic break because of that old life, why do people think that I would ever want to get back into it again? You know what I mean? If the option is out there, like, the option should be you can do whatever you want to do. Or whatever you're capable of doing. And I feel like for sure I'm capable of doing this, which is, helping people. Um, it may not seem like it, but and it doesn't to me a lot of times. Like, how is me telling my story? Because no one's ever seemed to put a value on it. You know what I mean? Nobody's ever put a value on it. The value that I get from my experiences are as a laborer, but not for, certainly in the world that I come from, we don't put a value on somebody's story of the hardships that they've been through. Whereas the world as a whole, I do feel like there's an opportunity for those of us who have been through this kind of disorder and have had episodes of mania or episodes of depression. We have a tremendous amount of value for people who are going to go through that, because there's going to be more and more people every day getting diagnosed, and there's more and more people every day that are looking for somebody out there that's telling their story. You know what I mean? Somebody out there that's been through what they've been through to, I don't know if it's to provide hope or it's more to provide community, I think. It's more just to, because really we know that, like, the hope factor is basically, um, are you going to be embarrassed by this, or are you going to be allowed to live a life where you're recognized that this thing happened, but you've tried to turn it into something good and positive. And by doing that, like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. You know, I don't know if it's for everyone. I apparently not. But for me, I think telling my story, talking yesterday with a few different people about my mania and my delusions and, what I went through was valuable. Like, I think it would offer but to where I come from, me telling them that, like, hey, I'm going to thinking about becoming peer support. I think there's peer support jobs that I might be. It's like they are like, oh yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, shrug their shoulders at it, and that's where I come from. I don't have a place where mental health or people who have a different experience of life have a value. Um, and that's not something that I want to get back into, and it's depressing. So, and it affects my mood. So, my mood today, although it should be hopeful and optimistic, and that's what you're aiming for, I'm aiming for a 5, but not too high. You know what I mean? 5 out of 10, right in the middle. But after realizing that most people, if they do know me and they're willing to still work with me, they just want me to be the same laborer I've always been. And maybe I'll have to do that. I don't know. But until then, until it gets to that, I'm going to continue to pursue this side of it, which is, look for roles in the community that are peer support roles, um, learn more about what that means, do more of this where I'm talking about my mental health and my experiences with mental health, and hoping that that kind of talking can help those people that are watching, so that also have bipolar disorder or a similar thing. Maybe they've just been there's all kinds of disorders that can bring mania and delusions and deep depressions. And I think that although the diagnoses may be different for the different people, the way to get out of it's all the same. And that again goes back to, you want to feel like you're part of a community. You want to feel like you're not alone, um, big picture, that you're not the only person that has seen the world the way that you've seen it or lived through the things that you've lived through. Others have. And I just want to be a person that shares those and gets, you know, I guess, yeah, recognized for it. You want to say recognized for it. Because you're not hiding, you know. So I think I'm still hopeful that I'll get a gig in the peer support as a peer support person or a peer support therapist. Um, but today I wish I would have got that call, because instead I got the phone call of, do you want to come do snow removal? And, staying up all night, not getting good sleep, staying, eating horribly, all of those different things that come along with snow removal are also the things that are triggers for me for my bipolar disorder. And so the thought of even doing it is, it's just not, it just brings you down. And I'm already in that. Like, I've already got that post manic, um, I'm on that roller coaster. I've been as, and I'm trying my best not to slide down into it. So I'm sorry, I didn't do a great gratitude check-in. I didn't do I mean, my mood is what it is. I'm gonna go with a 5. I would say I'm at a 5. I'm in the middle, but I'm also in the waiting place, and it's not somewhere that I want to be. Uh, I'm re- I'm ready to move forward, but I want to be moving forward in a capacity that I'm in control of finally. Not doing something because it's the only thing I can do, but doing something because it's what I want to do. And I don't know how long it's been. Everybody assumes that that's always been what I've been pursuing, and it's really not. Over the past decade, my passion has been sitting behind a microphone making people laugh with comedy podcasts. And until my first episode, my dream was to, make a living. It's what I always said I wanted to do. I want to make a living doing a show. And I got to the point where we had incorporated, all these different elements to finally bring people in to see what I was passionate about. And it was a comedy show that happened to be at you know, we had built a taco shop out of an old 1922 Texaco, and we're running a comedy show through the taco shop, and people got to see our studio and see us do the comedy. And I put it right there in front of people, like, this is what we do, this is what I'm passionate about. And I think it would have worked, but it didn't take but a day or two of me, living my dream after I built it before I had my first manic episode. And full blown, like, lost touch, delusional manic episode. And because of that, I lost my business. I lost my cousin and friend for and partner, and I lost money. I mean, the money, and that was just the first episode. So I've done this now. I've had 3, and I'm ready to not have any more. I'm tired of it. But a big thing that causes stress is doing what, you know, doing what you don't want to do, and people not listening. Like, even during the reason I feel like I had my first manic episode, there was a tremendous amount of responsibility that landed just on me. And I tried to ask family and friends and those to take that from me, the ones that I thought could, and it wasn't reciprocated. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't do that. And that's okay, but it blew up. And I'm just afraid to repeat that. I don't want to. So I guess in my mood journal right now, what I'm feeling is just kind of scared that I might, if I was to have to go back into snow removal stuff, like, is that going to make me pop off again? And I don't want to pop off. That's a saying popping off is a really nice way of saying going manic. It's probably too nice. So I don't know. It's going to be okay. Everything happens for a reason, is what they say, and I've been trying to live by that. Like, I put it in God's hands, or let it go. I've been doing my best to let it go, and let be in the right position for the right opportunities, be aware of them, but not I can't let it consume me. So, the universe knows what I'm supposed to be. And when you say stuff like that, though, I got to be careful with that, cuz when you get into a full-blown mania, you do feel like, you are the answer to the universe or something. And so I'm treading that thin line of patience and just allowing the process to unfold. You know, I can't force a total recovery overnight. I can't force myself into the position that I want, but I can, in the moment, do my best, which is what I did. And instead of sitting here ruminating on the whole conversation, all the interviews, answers that I gave, um, I can just let it go and say I did my best. So if they don't, if they can't find a position for me, then it wasn't meant to be. Like, that's how simple I gotta make it. But I'd be lying to you if I was to say that I wish it was all taken care of. I wish I'd. Nobody wants to be in the waiting place. Nobody wants to be stuck, especially. I think a big part of the reason it matters is because you showed such a horrible side of yourself during your psychotic break. Like, I showed such a horrible side that's not even me. So it's like, but you showed the psychotic side of yourself, and you want to show people, hey, look, yes, that happened, but look, I took it and I turned it into something good. And I'm hoping that I get the opportunity to do that. Not that those people, maybe some of those people that judge you for it, that judge you for your break, they may not even deserve to get to see you like that. I don't know. But um it's just been one of those days where I'd say it's a up and down kind of mood day. I have the weather and the time and the ability to get all these things done, but instead my mind is just like, but why aren't what I like out of all the options I have, the one thing I want to do isn't one of them, if that makes sense. I guess it took me 25 minutes to say that, but I'm long winded. Um, we always end the show in affirmations. I don't have any. Um, I just got to say that the best affirmation for today will probably be, you know, if it's out of your control, then allow it to be out of your thoughts. And um, knowing what the right thing to do is not your job. You know what I mean? Knowing what the right path for you is not always clear to you. Um, but knowing what the wrong path is, you know what I mean? Like going down a familiar road just because it's familiar, it doesn't mean it's going to lead to a new destination. I think a familiar road is just going to lead to the same place it always did. And so, even if it means, taking a stand, I guess, maybe sometimes it's time to take a stand. That's what Corey Feldman would do. Um, anyways, this mood journal is kind of all over the place, as sometimes they are. If you guys have your own mood journal practice, you're probably very familiar with that. Um, but I'm just trying to get these feelings out about future career opportunities and just the lack of motivation that when you feel, when you feel like your family doesn't really want you and you feel like your friends don't really want you, it sure is nice when you do feel like somebody wants you. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I always start the show saying I'm grateful for my wife and kids, because although they've had it the worst in the sense of they've seen me at my worst, they've witnessed that, and they've had to learn me again, and then learn this disease and learn this disorder, and they've done it with me. But beyond them, not everybody, like my family and friends, don't all share that same boat with them. Um, and so I'm ready to work in a position, where the experiences that I've had can add value to the organization that I'm working for. I'm kind of I'm sick of the other way around, where I'm just a worker and the experiences that I had are embarrassing. I'm not, how can I'm embarrassed already. I'm already embarrassed. Because I did it. It happened. The manic shit, the delusion stuff that happened, uh, me living in that world, thinking that was reality. I couldn't control it, but I was there and I did it. And so to want to live my life hiding that and being embarrassed of it is a sickening thought. And so instead, I'm the other way. How about I just, you know, get out in front of it and say, "Hey, by the way, I'm bipolar and I've been manic and I've went crazy and I've had a psychotic break. I've had a couple of them and I've spent all my money on stuff I don't need, and I've had all of the everything that go through the DSM-5 of what bipolar is, and I checked off the list on almost every one of them. But I couldn't control it. So why would I be embarrassed? Any more than I already am. So I don't know. This one's been kind of a ranty. I'm sorry, but it's like a ranty bipolar journal. I don't know what I thought would happen today. I get these great ideas that somebody's, and it's going to happen. It's got to. But I was really hoping that somebody would be like, I would get the text today that says when can you start. So I didn't get it, obviously. But the day's not over yet. And I think, I don't know. It's hard to say what people that have this disorder, I imagine the majority of them hide about it and are embarrassed because that's the part that hurts a lot, is the embarrassing shit you say when you are describing a world that nobody else can see. Um, but it's real. It was real, and I know I can help people with that. So, anyways, I'm going to take my. And then I don't know if it's the worst thing that's ever. You know what I mean? Like, because it happened to me, like getting bipolar happened to me, sometimes I wonder, because I hear all these motivational people talk, and they'll say things about, about God will test you and the dark before the light, or the calm, sometimes you got to go through the worst stuff, to the struggle, to get to the best stuff. And I'm hoping that getting diagnosed with a mental illness, having it literally take me to, um I shouldn't say literally, having it literally ruin my brain. That is literally like ruin my mind for a time, cloud me, but also figuratively push me up into the sky and pull me down into the depths of hell and mix and confuse the two of them. But sometimes I'm sitting there thinking, like, Lieutenant Dan, like, is that all you got? Because I'm here. You know what I mean? It didn't kill me, and I'm here. But I don't want no more. I don't want it anymore. So I'm hoping that is, if I guess it's weird to say that, um it's a blessing to be, if getting diagnosed with bipolar and having to go through what I've went through is the worst that can ever, is one of the bad things that are going to happen to me throughout my life, which it definitely is, and it's life changing and has changed everything. But if that's it, that ain't so bad, you know? And I think I feel like that because I'm still here. I'm still sitting here trying. And I don't know if I'll ever achieve the goals that I set out to achieve when I started talking into a microphone, you know, 15 years ago. I haven't yet, but I haven't given up. I've just changed. I've just changed every time, you know? I used to do I used to do a show called the Connie G Show, which was just me. And then all of a sudden, I had a friend that wanted to do it, so it was the Conrad and Jack Show. And so I did that. And that happened for a number of years. And then I had more friends that were involved, and I hated being on, the name on the board. And so, and I wanted everybody to get the same amount of love. And so I went to those guys from Wichita. And then I changed after those guys from Wichita to like, man, now we have this collection of shows. Let's call it Con Radio with all of them in it, and we'll add more shows. And I had all these ideas. I've just been constantly for the past 15 years attempting to tell my story, whatever it is happening. I've been doing and sharing it for 15 years. And it has yet to be what I do for a living. But to say that I don't try, to say that I haven't tried to share my life in a funny way or a serious, my serious opinion on certain things, but primarily my whole attempt was to make somebody laugh, make somebody feel good, make somebody that's having a bad day feel better. And it's really, then I had this happen. Then it led to the OK Taco Show, where we traveled to 100 towns doing podcasts on the way there and on the way home and, serving these small communities and trying to make them laugh and bring them something new. It's literally what I'm passionate about is changing someone's day. You know what I mean? That's what I want to do. If somebody's having a bad day, I want to make it good. If somebody's having a good day, I want to see why and pat them on the back and try to make it even better. And what sucks about this illness is you ruined everybody's day when it happened. And so I did. I ruined their days for a long time. And it ruined so much. And so it's like, what can I do to make a difference now that if everything blew up? And the fact and what you can do is, I don't know, I'm doing this. So I just transitioned to this show. I just changed it and said, I'll just do it this way now, where I just expose this side of me and talk about it here. I guess this is a long journal entry. I apologize. Told you I got a lot on my mind, and it probably doesn't make much sense. I should have stuck with the format, but I guess I created the format, so what does it matter? I'm not going to give up on it. I have a good feeling. I can't say that I don't have a good feeling. I do. I think it's going to work out. But I don't control the timeline, so I just have to let it go. So you guys do the same. If you're struggling, there's a lot of us out there that are. So reach out and be good to yourself. Don't let your meat loaf.